Godzilla is about to turn 70 years old and fans couldn't be more excited. Since the franchise began, the King of the Monsters has become an icon of popular culture, and even several of his rivals and allies have also become extremely iconic over the years. Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Space Godzilla, and Gigan are some of Toho's most popular kaijus. Unfortunately, not everything can be perfect. Although there are extremely powerful characters like Biollante or Destoroyah, there are several kaijus that are extremely weak. In this video we will talk about 10 of the weakest monsters we have seen in the Godzilla movies. As we always say in these videos, this listing is merely our personal opinion, and if you have a different listing, feel free to leave it in the comments box. Without further ado, let's get started. Godzilla 98 is my favorite character. Not for nothing does one of my channels bear his name. But this video talks about the weakest kaijus, and you have to admit that this is perhaps the weakest version of Godzilla ever made. In a world where there are beings capable of demolishing buildings like nothing, which can destroy a city or even an entire planet, Godzilla 98's greatest achievement was fighting the United States Army. This version of Godzilla was so weak that the military managed to defeat him. Even his animated incarnation proved to be more powerful as he defeated an alien army and a cyborg version of himself. Although Toho decided to rename this version Zilla to separate him from his most important character, the kaiju remained a punching bag, and that was very well represented in Final Wars when the real Godzilla defeated him with two simple attacks. Instead of atomic breath as such, this kaiju breathed fire, once the smallest incarnation of Godzilla. Luckily, Zilla received better treatment in the IDW comics, where he was given a better story and managed to battle Godzilla during an encounter. Baragon is one of the many monsters who fought Godzilla and were quickly defeated. Baragon, an ancient reptilian creature, can also emit a beam of fire or heat. This fire is hot enough to help him dig large tunnels so he can surprise his rivals or use it as a weapon. Baragon is vaguely dinosaur-like. He can engage in physical combat when necessary. He has managed to catch Godzilla off guard on a couple of occasions. While this is admirable, the truth is that his size and great weight make him an easy opponent for the most powerful kaiju to defeat, even in a terrain where Baragon would have the advantage. Jet Jaguar is a Super Sentai-inspired hero who made his debut in the film Godzilla vs. Megalon. It was created by a family of scientists and can change size when the situation requires it. While he has proven to be very effective in stopping criminals, Jet Jaguar has had problems when facing kaijus. Disregarding the singular point version, the original Jet Jaguar was unable to defeat Megalon on his own. While his theme song is very cool, he is not a particularly good fighter, and he lacks weapons. Kameebas is a rock turtle kaiju that first appeared in the Godzilla franchise in Space Amoeba, a 1970 Toho film. Like Godzilla or Ebra, Kameebas is semi-aquatic and has the ability to fight on both land and water. It has some weapons, such as claws and sharp teeth. Additionally, it can extend its neck like a snapping turtle to bite enemies from a distance. This all sounds great, but the character proved to be much weaker than the aforementioned titans. Kameeba's most important strength is its rock-hard shell that serves as a defensive shield against attacks. In his first film, Kameebas deflects the attacks of Ganame, a crab kaiju similar to Ebra, using his shell. However, in a later entry in the franchise, a dead Kameebas washes ashore after being killed by Godzilla. Although this is not confirmed, there are those who believe that the defeat of Kameebas at the hands of Godzilla is a reference to Gamera and how his films have never managed to attract as many audiences as those of the King of the Monsters. The warbats of the monsterverse are large, winged titans. These snake-like monsters get their name from their aggressive personalities and bat-like wings. They can generally be seen in the Hollow Earth and are strong when attacking in groups, but are very weak in one-on-one combat. While warbats are the top predators of the Hollow Earth, they are no match for massive monsters like Godzilla or Kong. Like Kamacuras, warbats have a numerical advantage. Still, in their brief confrontation with Kong, they were quickly defeated. Had they faced the King of Monsters, they would surely have been eliminated in seconds with a single blast of atomic breath. The giant condor is a mutated bird, which grew to the size of a kaiju and was unlucky enough to fly towards Godzilla. After a very brief but fierce confrontation, Godzilla used his atomic breath to knock down the winged beast. In some films of the franchise, fans have witnessed particular monsters that are able to withstand such an attack. However, the giant condor is not one of them. Consequently, the largest bird falls into the ocean, never to be seen again. The giant condor was a filler character, and it is clear that they didn't put much thought into creating him, so it should come as no surprise that he is considered one of the weakest kaijus in the franchise. The kaiju known as Gabara debuted in 1969's Godzilla All Monsters Attack. In this film we saw the debut of Manila, and since he represented the average sun type, he needed a bully. Gabara represented the typical bully who bothered Godzilla's son. This titan was not much bigger than Manila, which is already a great disadvantage against kaijus like Gigan or Rodan. At first, Manila was too small and weak to defend himself, but with the help of Ichiro Miki, he gained enough courage to face him. Even so, Manila was unable to defeat him and needed the help of his father, who reprimanded Gabara quickly and forcefully. Kamacuras are a species of kaiju similar to praying mantises. These are so weak that they usually attack their prey in groups, but despite their numerical advantage, they are still some of the weakest monsters of all. In his short appearances, Godzilla has shown that he can quickly eliminate them with his atomic breath. While they are a threat to humans and perhaps some lesser kaiju like Manila, Kamacuras lack the traits and abilities to be a true threat against more powerful kaijus like Godzilla or Kong. It's true that they have never faced the King of Skull Island, but I have no doubt that Kong could easily crush them. Ebra is one of the weakest monsters Godzilla has ever faced. This monster, a giant crustacean, lacks many of the traits and abilities necessary to effectively fight the King of Monsters. Armed with only 2 claws of different sizes, the mutant arthropod doesn't have many options for close combat. This lack of skill is evident in Ebra's battle against Godzilla, who ripped off her arms. It is worth noting that Ebra is an excellent swimmer who fought Godzilla by dragging him underwater. Still, because Godzilla is semi-aquatic, Ebra suffered a total defeat. If Kong devours a giant octopus in every movie, I'd like to see what he does to Ebra if they ever meet. Putting Manila on this list would have been very obvious, especially since that is the character's function, to be a weaker version of Godzilla that children can sympathize with. Junior cannot be in this top either, since, although he is another version of Manila, he has shown us that he can become much more powerful than his father. Instead, the winner of this top is a character from the Monsterverse. Introduced in Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, endoswarmers resemble extremely large insects. Although they are technically titans, these monsters have very little attack power on an individual level. That being said, they are certainly capable of injuring or killing humans when they appear as a swarm. The public first saw her eggs in an abandoned building, which began to hatch when Miura, Rhonda and Lee attempted to take a sample. Although these insects are huge compared to those in the real world, they are still tiny enough to harm a Titan. Plus, as we saw throughout this talk, insect monsters have a great weakness to the atomic breath of Godzilla and others. Energy attacks. For now, that's all for this video. Tell us which is the weakest kaiju or Titan for you and why.